have any hair tips before we close it out? Anything?
Well, I did learn from a hairdresser, don't wash your hair every day.
Really?
Yes, because you lose the oils.
Earl.
That's not going to guarantee, Kevin, that your hair's going to grow back. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Boo.
Mr. Kev,
what?
speaking of tips, don't we have a new segment?
We do have a new segment.
We have a new segment.
And it has nothing to do with Mike's robe. It has everything to do with the
old school.
Old school tip.
Wow,
Old
I like
school tip of the day.
I like the intro, bro.
Yeah,
This is going to be a new segment.
This is a new segment we're going to do with our guests who have this knowledge rummaging around in their head, bro. A tip of the day. It could be the smallest thing to the biggest thing. Mike, you're on. And
my tip of the day.
Nothing to do with thongs. Go.
No. My tip of the day would be, I guess I learned the best tips in the truck because you have more than. I'll give you 2 tips. Let me do 2 tips if you don't.
No, on the first day, you're gonna give us 2.
Okay,
Go with it.
I'll do it this way. If you're in the engine, do never let yourself be caught between the wall and the line. Never. That's a no-no. Always be on the outside.
I like it.
I like
okay,
that.
Because whether the water pressure changes or the angle of the attack changes and the hose goes around a corner, you don't want to be pinned against the wall. Now you're vulnerable. Number 2, I suggest, I don't care what anybody tells you, I'd bring a can when I was working and a hook. Every job, no matter what the fuck it was.
No matter what. Elevator, absolutely.
Elevator, and I'll tell you why. It solves a lot of problems. It's a chock. It's an extinguisher. It gives guys some time to go in there, make a quick search. You can hose the top of the hot air, keep it a little cool. Guy can get out, and use it as a way to get out of a building, break a window. It serves a lot of multi-purposes, and I think it's a lost art. No one really teaches it because I think a lot of people really don't know how to use a can properly.
I like it.
I like it, kid. Mike, you are the first tip of the day, old school tip of the day. You should be proud, bro. And those are 2 great tips. Right?
Hey, Mike, I want to say, next time you come on, if we do have you on with the part 2,
we're gonna have him on today.
Yeah, you gotta have. If you wear the robe, you gotta have a gold chain or something.
I will.
It's that time, Pete. You know what?
Yes, I believe it's that time.
Yes.
You know what time?
Oh, hold one moment.
He's one step behind.
I now know the time that you are talking about, which is, of course, our old school tip of the day.
And listen, it doesn't get much older than this guy right here, bro.
There's older guys than me still around.
Chief Steve, bro. Chief Steve's got 40. How many years did you put in, Dennis? 38?
37. A little over 37.
37 years. Chief Steve's working on 42, I think, bro. So,
really?
Yep. I keep telling him, what are you doing? What?
Well, again, it's a little bit different jumping on off the rig in the rescue or the truck. I'm not saying it's, but when you're the chief, it's a little bit easier. I'm just saying.
How long has he been a chief?
Oh, geez. He's deputy since 2001, right after 9/11. He was the first class.
Hey, he's a good student, your brother.
He was a very good student, yep.
I took the captain's test 4 times.
I studied for like 2 weeks, right? What were you studying for, like 2 weeks at a time?
Like 10 minutes. I was really motivated. But the leaves where?
So some of us learned about the wedge in the helmet today. What else are we going to learn?
Give us your tip.
Oh, man, let's see. I was thinking of a few things. One of my favorites was take time to save time.
Take time
to save time. And that starts get dressed properly. If it takes an extra second to get the right tool off the rig, let's say, go get it, because it's going to take a lot longer to go back from the building and go back to the scene. Your size up, right? You know what? You got a high-rise project or something. You got fire on the 12th floor. You know what? if you're so close to the building that you don't have time to count the floors, you know, like your truck stops right in front, stop. Because you better know, because you can't go by, you know, the report that the dispatcher says fire. Louis, how many times?
Yeah, it's on the wrong floor.
Floor. It's on the 14th floor. It's on the 8th floor. You know, the smoke's everywhere. So, you know, it's like the size up, access to a building. You know, take the time to make sure you're running into the right building. I mean, you got like a row of frames. You got smoke pushing out of, you know, 4 cornices. Right?
Yeah.
It's in the like, which is the fire building? Where did it start? Like, you might have to stop and really look, you know. So
you never want to stop, right?
Nobody,
You're always
not when everyone's up your ass, right?
That's it. I mean, if you really think about it, you never want to stop, because probably that is always the underlying factor, is that you feel like somebody's going to get there before you. I think
and that's one of the negatives about our department, because we have so much manpower.
I agree.
That so many other departments don't even have a fraction of that, you know. But you got to make it happen, you know. I mean, that's what's great about the truck. When you get new guys, you can break them in the way, you know, they should be, you know, broken in. I mean, I'd make them stop and say, "What floor's the fire on?" You know, count the floors. Did you know? You know, I go, "Was there a fire escape in the front?" You know, like,
yeah.
Like, take the time. You know, another big thing I had, like a real pet peeve of mine, is crawling in the fire. Right, guys? How many times everybody's walking into fire? Standing up in zero visibility all the time. I mean, you watch all these videos, right, from all over the country and even New York City. It's like you get to that door, you know. I learned this from the old school guys, because they didn't wear the mask, right? So they had to be low.
Right.
They had to be low, number one, so they could breathe, because, you know, the layers, the smoke layers, it's much less dense at the floor level. I mean, these guys, I remember they went in like a snake. They were flat on their belly, you know, like going in like this, dragging their tools, dragging the hose. It was unbelievable. And, you know, we learned it because of the vacant buildings too, with all the holes in the floors. And you know, so you could feel what you're doing. And how are you doing a search if you're not crawling, you know? Right. So plus, you know, but the thing is, just remember to monitor the heat overhead when you're down there. You know, I didn't really put my hood on until, you know, like in the beginning, I didn't wear the hood in the early part of the job, unless I really needed to, but I'd like to feel what was going on with my ears.
That's funny you say that, because I never wore my hood either.
You know, I felt like guys get too encapsulated. So I would, and if I had the hood on, I would pull it back around my ear occasionally, and I'd stand up real quick just to get a feeling. Or I'd put my hand, you know, I'd pull my glove up, put my hand over my head. I mean, you got to monitor the conditions overhead, you know, because the heat could be, I mean, I'm not a big numbers guy with that, but it could be a couple of 100 degrees difference, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt about
you know, and you don't even, you know, if the bunker gear, like, you're so encapsulated. I mean, it's easy to get caught. I mean, I've been in
false sense of security.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of flashovers. I mean, I went through a window, you know, in 120. We were over on Hopkinson, just north of Atlantic, and we had one of those little mini brownstones. And they torched gasoline on the front door and right onto the parlor floor. Get up to the stoop, and couldn't even force it. We had to hit the door with water just so we could cool it down. And the line is coming, and so I get in and I go to the left, to the hallway, down to the back on the parlor, and the line's coming in going the other way. Anyway, water's operating, right? Right. This is what Capt was talking about, right? Water operating. Still a flashover. And I'm telling you, this is a flashover. I'm in a back bedroom on the parlor floor, and I'm doing a search. And I remember I'm on the floor and I'm sticking my hand under the bed, and all of a sudden it just becomes unbearable heat.
No shit.
I'm telling you, unsurvivable heat. And all I knew there was a window behind me, and, you know, I didn't really think about, you know, looking for my secondary egress, because if I went into a hairy situation, sort of one of the first things, you know, we did was, how are we getting out of here, looking for a secondary means of egress. But this day, for whatever, I had a line operating. I had good water. I just was focusing on my search. I trusted the engine, you know. And I mean, talk about luck. I have a window behind me, single pane glass.
Thank God.
Right? Old school. No bars, with a setback roof.
Oh my God. It was like
12 inches under the window. I just rolled through the glass.
That's Disney World.
I just rolled through the fucking glass. I mean,
you couldn't even make that up.
Forget it. PSS. If I had a PSS and I needed it,
it wasn't happening.
The reality of it is, I'm sorry. You know,
how many times did you go to critique a job afterwards, and when you go up there, you see the hand marks on the walls of guys standing up?
Right.
Yeah, this is right. Of standing up, doing a search, standing up. You're like, these guys weren't even crawling, right?
And I'm telling you, and it was like a Hollywood thing. Like the fire just came out right behind me. And what's his name? This guy Jerry Quinn from 176 was on that setback roof. And he was like, he had his Halligan cocked and he was about to take that window, and I rolled onto him, and he said I almost gave him a heart attack.
What time?
It's time for the old school tip of the day.
Old school tip of the day is, my thing is, listen at fire, listen to the radio. There's always some things like, I know I was searching and I hear the engine officer call for water, and I just waited to hear those magic words from the MPO, water's on its way. You know, to me, that made a whole difference in the world. You're on the floor above, you're crawling around, trying to make a search. All of a sudden you hear that water underneath you. You know things are getting better. The line's moving in on the floor below. You know, I used to use all my senses at a fire. You know, that's why I said I didn't use a hood. But listening, you know, you're on the top floor making a search. All of a sudden you hear the saws above you. You know, that's so you can learn a lot just by not actually talking, but just listening what's going on. You know, some good things, or you just know things. You know, like I said, I heard this guy give maydays. I heard, you know, a panic down below me. I know things weren't right. You know, so it's good to keep your ears out of what's going on. If you really get a good sense of what's going on, you don't have to be on the radio all the time. You know, really keep your ears out. That helped me a lot through. I figured through my career.
That's a great
to keep
tip.
me out of trouble.
Excellent tip, Pete. I think we need a second horn on that one. That was such a good tip, bro. Give it to us.
You know, you can really hear. You can hear the difference in guys' voices, right? As things are amping up or going down. So you can really sense what's happening.
Oh, is it that time? Chief, are you ready?
I'm ready.
He don't look ready.
Chief, you know what time it is, Chief? Here it is.
Hey.
It's time for the old school tip of the day with Chief LaFemina.
Okay. Old school tip of the day. I'm going command level here.
All right.
Every fire I went to where there was a problem or something got jammed up was the stairway. Everybody on the stairway, the conga line up, everybody trying to get into the fire, not giving the engine a chance to get in there, not giving guys a chance to get out if they have to get out. So my big pet peeve when I became a chief was crowding the stairs. I didn't like it. So what I would do, I'd pull up the fires, either buffing or assigned, and I get in there and I tell the guys, because they don't listen to company officers. If you're not my officer, you tell me to get off the stairs, I'm kind of going to blow you off. Just the way it was. So having control of the stairs is my pet peeve. You need control of that stairway to advance the line, to enable an escape route in case there's a problem. And that would be my tip of the day.
I think that's.
I like it.
I would say that I cannot tell you how many times. One, I probably caused some of that being the squad, and two, being in an area where I wanted to get out.
Right.
You know, when you say that, and you know things are lighting up, and you're too far ahead of the line, and now you can't get out, right? Because everybody's lined up.
Portable. What about a portable, bro? How many people?
They don't know. They don't know you're on the inside, jamming up the stairs. I got to get in there. I'm second dude. Yeah, well, the first dude hasn't got into the fire department, so you're not going above anyway. So let them do their thing. So, and the problem is manpower. We're manpower intensive.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Stairway problems, stairs jamming upstairs don't happen in other places.
We were told. Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Warren, it's that
you
time.
mean it's time for the old school tip of the day?
All right, so I asked Warren before we started. I'm like, listen, what if you want to do it, you're in. If you don't, it's fine. He said he wanted to just give a little something. So, Warren, shoot it, man.
Well, I say it to everybody and to all the dispatchers out there that might be listening. It's very simple. Just make a difference and love your job. And I know so many out there that are listening, and these kids are great. They're the future. A lot of them are going to move on and become firefighters. I worked with a lot of guys that worked with, they were dispatchers with me. There's a bunch of chiefs out there now. So, you know what? When they won the job as dispatchers, they made a difference. And as chiefs and company officers, they're still making a difference. So, you know what? That's the key thing. Make a difference and people remember you. And, love your job like I did,
That's the truth.
Sweet. Warren, saddle up, kid.
Saddle up, baby.
And an honor, privilege.
So we would